All right, guys. Now, another type of frequency distribution can be constructed using numerical data, and that is called a grouped frequency distribution. In a group frequency distribution, the numerical data is divided into classes. Classes are the rows of the grouped frequency distribution. And now I'm going to show you on how to create a grouped frequency distribution. And in this case, I'm only creating it on the Math 108 level. When you go to Statistics 250, there are more things that you will be needed to use when creating your grouped frequency distribution. But because this is Math 108, we're, doing it pretty simple, going pretty straightforward. So this is our data, right? We want to create a group frequency distribution based on this data. And these data represents the high record temperatures for each of the 50 states and degrees Fahrenheit. Construct a group frequency distribution for the data with 7 classes, which means you want 7 rows for your frequency distribution. So what we're going to do is give our table a title. So I'm going to call this highest temperature. Highest state temperatures. And Fahrenheit. Okay. Now, we're going to call the first column class, or you may hear class limits. I'm going to call it class limits. Now, the second column will be known as your frequency column. And now, because we want to have 7 classes, that means we need to have 7 rows for data. And the last row, which will be the 8th row, will be for a total. I want to make sure I draw this fine, get it nice. Let's try that again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's put 1 down here for the total. And the total is N. And remember, there are 50 states in total. So when we do everything, it should add up to 50. Okay. Now, before we create our grouped frequency distribution, we need to find something that is very important. We need to find the width. And the width is the distance between each class. The width must be the same for each class. So that means I must find the distance from every class, from class 1 to class 2, class 2 to class 3, so on and so on and so on. And the width is the distance between each class. Now, don't mind my ugly looking table for right now. I'm going to give you the formula to finding the width and some more definitions. The width equals to the range of the data divided by the number of classes that you want. Range of the data divided by the number of classes. What is the range? Well, the range lets us know how far the data varies. And to find the range of the data, it is the highest value minus the lowest value. Okay. Now, when it comes for the width, 2 definitions. If the width is a decimal, round number to the next whole number. Very important. If the width is a decimal, round to the next whole number. Number 2, if the width is a whole number, write that better, whole number, after dividing, add an extra class to the table. An example of that, let's say define the width, right? We still want to have 7 classes, right? We find the range, and the range is equal to R, which is range. The range is equal to 35. And remember, we want 7 classes. So that's 35 divided by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5. Because when the width is a whole number after we divide it, you must add an extra class to the table. So instead of having 7 classes, you will now have 8 classes. But let's suppose the width is 29, right? Divided by 7. 29 divided by 7 approximately is 4.14. Around 2 numbers after the decimal. And what that means is because it is a decimal, I'm going to take this number and round it up to the next whole number, which means my width is going to be 5. And I do not have to add an extra class because my width was a decimal when I divided. But if you get a whole number when you divide it, you must add an extra class. So I'm going to leave this video off right here. This is just the introduction on how to create a frequency distribution. And hopefully you guys understand how to go about that. And it's pretty straightforward. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all these definitions that I stated in this video, plus how I constructed my frequency distribution to actually finish constructing the frequency distribution based on my table of raw data. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.